when we tie our belt in Taekwondo, it's a single wrap belt. And again, there's 3 reasons why we do a single wrap, and a lot of other martial arts do a double wrap. But there's a reason why. And there's a reason why this, this color here, and there's a reason why, this sort of thing. So having that respect for the art and the reasons behind it, yeah, being able to tie your belt correctly is huge. Just being able to show respect to the people who pioneered, created whatever system, discipline, style you do, being able to show that respect. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Off the Mat. My name is Josh Dumoulin, and this is
Nicole Stratichuk.
And today we are talking all about the importance of your belt and why it is important for you to make sure that you tie it correctly. Because as an instructor, it is one of my biggest pet peeves when people, especially higher belts, now beginners, junior belt, you get a bit of a pass here on this one here. But when I see junior belt or senior belts, especially when they're black belts and they don't know how to tie their belt correctly, grinds my gears, really irritates me more than one of my biggest pet peeves. Are you sure?
Oh, can you tell us how you really feel?
That'll be a whole thing is what grinds my gears type stuff. And there's a few reasons why it does, and I'm going to go into those. It's not just a thing. There's reason why it does drive me a little bit crazy when I see it. But that's what we're going to get into there today is that the reasons why it is important that you do learn and learn how to tie your belt correctly and actually put that effort in there. So going into a little bit, why don't you briefly, we'll talk a little bit about the history of the martial art belt that we know of.
Yeah, by no means am I an expert on martial arts, the belts and how they came to be. My understanding, though, is that originally there were only 2 belts, actually. There was the black belt and the white belt, right? And the black belt signified that you were experienced and you had knowledge in the martial art, whereas the white belt just signified innocence and not knowing anything. So quite often the instructors would be black belts, students would be white belts. And that's how I think it originated. As from there, as martial arts grew and progression was needed, the other belt colors came into play. And so we'll see now there's a number of martial arts with different belt colors and different belt systems and whole philosophies behind those. We were talking too that, that's the white to black was something about, it simply just turned black from the years of experience and training, right?
And I don't know if that's true, but that is one of the things I remember learning early on is that in original times, whether the uniform was just to hold the gi or the dobok, closed, and then your belt just turned black through, years of experience. Again, is that the original thing? I don't know. Does anybody know?
Let us know.
Let us know. Really, for real. Because I'm always interested in learning more about those things. History of martial arts, not just Taekwondo, but martial arts in general. I always find kind of fascinating, where they originated from, all of those things. So I find that stuff really cool. And, but, going in, let's just say it started with white and then black, and then we started developing, all of the colors and, each style had its own one, like you were saying, and different meanings behind each color. Why, what for us, why white came before yellow and why yellow came before green and green before blue and blue before red and red before black. There's a reason why, and we won't get into that too much. I feel like that could be a completely different episode because there's just so much stuff to go into it.
That's right.
But really the purpose of the colors is, to understand the...
Right, so that when groups of people came together to train in martial arts, Taekwondo, karate, all of the martial arts, that in that group, it was just easily identifiable who had what skills. And that makes sense. I think about our school, the colors of the belts, the different stripes on the belt, that all identifies to the instructors, to the students, to the parents, just really quickly where they're at and what makes sense to teach them, right? Because it doesn't make any sense to teach a certain skill if they don't have the prerequisites, right?
Right.
And so those belts and the stripes let us know very quickly that yes, they are ready to learn a certain skill or a set of skills, or which set they are ready for. So it just becomes a really easy way.
Right. And that's just it. So I think like as art started developing, they started going, okay, well, if we're going to have these sort of patterns or these sort of throws or these sort of techniques and kicks and strikes, then they started saying, well, we need a way to say like you're ready for this one and you're not. Like, so really the colors started being able to say like, okay, everybody in like this group, we know that they know these patterns. We know that they know maybe this type of throw. They know this sort of self-defense. They know this sort of whatever it is style, right? So, but again, that whole thing, you know, the meaning of each color, you know, the white for Taekwondo, again, white, yellow, green, blue, red, black, right? We could go into a whole thing about those, but discussion for another day. We're here to talk about why it is important to take that belt, regardless of which rank you are, and tie it correctly. So,
Number one.
all right, let's get into it.
Number one is respect for the art, right? You know, let's say you're a green belt, you're coming into Taekwondo, and you being able to tie your belt properly is just respect to the art and the philosophy behind it. So in Taekwondo specifically, the do actually means the way, right? And so for me, tying my belt correctly means that I am respectful of the do of Taekwondo. So living the way of a martial artist and having that respect.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a reason why, you know, when we tie our belt in Taekwondo, it's a single wrap belt, and again, there's 3 reasons why we do a single wrap, and a lot of other martial arts do a double wrap, but there's a reason why. And there's a reason why this, you know, this color here, and there's a reason why, you know, this sort of thing. So having that respect for the art and the reasons behind it, yeah, being able to tie your belt correctly is huge. Just being able to show respect to the people who pioneered, created whatever system, discipline, style you do, being able to show that respect to its culture and its history is something that I find really, really important.
Yeah, and I think over the years, right, martial arts has evolved, and who participates in martial arts has evolved with the, you know, evolution of women in martial arts and now kids in martial arts. But one thing that has remained constant is these belts, and I think that's a really important piece to preserving some of that history and philosophy of why Taekwondo or other martial arts were first originally created.
Right. Cool. You know, one of the other reasons why I think is it's your first impression, right? Like it's the same thing, like, you know, in a lot of arts, you know, given where they're coming from, you know, an Asian background, you know, Taekwondo being from Korea, bowing is quite, you know, the norm. So like your belt to me, when I think about it, is like your handshake. It is the first thing that I see when you come in is how your belt is tied. And so if you have this little thing poking up, this little alfalfa thing popped up like this, because you just decided I'm just going to toss it on and it's here, like cobra, it ain't cool. It ain't funny. It ain't cute. No, get it tied correctly. Because it's like, it's the same thing when you introduce yourself to somebody and you handshake with them. The handshake, I don't care what anybody says on this one here. Your handshake is pretty important. And when you meet somebody and they handshake you like this, and you're like, did I just grab fingers? Or did I shake their hand, look them in the eye. And it's the same thing. To me, that the first impression that you give off is really big.
Right. It's no different than you have a CEO of a high-tech company or something, right? They will meet you in a suit and tie, right? That's their first impression. If they're trying to come in and sell you on something, I don't know, they have to give off a certain image, right? And as martial arts, I think we should have that same prestige, right? We are practicing martial arts, and there is an importance there to give off that impression of that respect factor.
And you're right. So like, someone might be like, well, I don't have to wear a suit and tie for work. You're right. So it's all relative to what you do.
Yeah.
For us, we are martial artists. you are coming into a martial arts school. That is your suit. So it is relative to this.
Yes.
Like, it's the same exact thing, right? So, like, people would make that argument like, well, I don't have to wear that. You're missing the point entirely. The belt, put it on because it is your suit, as if you were the executive coming in, right? So having that, first impression made to people really can set the tone.
I mean, yeah. And if we got into this more about, competition, maybe, like if we have two competitors come in and one's got their belt tied correctly and one doesn't, I mean, that gives your first impression to those refs and to those judges, right? So
absolutely,
what energy, what persona do you want to exemplify, right? Like,
so now if we're actually going a layer deeper and talking about a competitor, and I've got two coming up. Now, am I grading those competitors based on the way they tie their belt? No, that's not what they're getting graded on. But you can't tell me that when you see one with a sharply tied belt, a dobok that is clean. Dobok is what we call our gi, if you will, or our uniform. But our dobok, and everything is clean, pressed, neat. Hair is looking sharp. Belt is tied correctly. And you got somebody who looks like they just ran through mud. Their belt is tied incorrect. It's all over the place. So it is a huge, huge thing, especially if we're going to go that layer deeper as a competitor. Now I'm talking, there ain't joking around now.
Yeah. I'm also thinking about when I tie my own belt, it is this mental check for me, right? It's the same. There's a bow in that we do when we enter the dojang. It's the same thing. When I tie my belt, that is a reminder for me of who I am, what I'm there to do. It's
game time.
Oh yeah, like it's just such a mental thing. And sometimes, we talk about, in your work, right? You come to work, you want to leave your problems at the door. So I've heard that before, like, you signify hanging up your jacket or hanging up your hat. Like, you are at work to do work. You're not bringing your home stuff into work. It's the same thing for me. When I tie my belt, when I get my dobok on and I tie my belt, is game time. I'm on. I am a Taekwondo martial artist, and I am proud to be that. And it's that mental check for me to get into that headspace.
Yeah, that's really good. I've never thought of it like that, but you're right. As soon as that, like, right over left over right, snap goes in, there is this, like, flipping of your switch that just goes, okay, like, I have a job to do, right? And whatever it is, if you're training, your job is to go there and train your best. If you're an instructor, your job is to go there and instruct your best. So yes, tying that on correctly really can set the tone for the rest of your training that day or your teaching that day.
Right, and gets my behavior in check. I mean, not that I'm misbehaving outside of Taekwondo, but when I put that belt on, I hold myself to a higher standard, right? Like, I know it is like that check that, on the regular, I feel I'm a good person, all of that stuff. But when I put that belt on, I raise the bar. I hold myself to a higher standard when I wear my black belt.
So that almost goes right into the, like, our third reason why is some damn self-respect.
Right.
Okay. So, like, I think one of the things, and I think instructors, maybe we've heard, like, the color of the belt has been, unfortunately, in a way, just kind of looked at it as just straight up just an achievement thing. Though it is, like, it's an achievement when you earn a new color. There is a certain level of achievement and pride that you should have for earning that thing. But, like, again, have some self-respect about it. Like, put that thing on correctly. Be proud that you did earn that. Like, have some respect for yourself. When you put that thing on, it, again, is just, making sure that you're ready to go. Yeah. Like, that you're there for,
Yeah, respect for yourself and your greater self. So, putting that belt on is your reminder that you are here to do great things and achieve your mission or achieve your goals, and having the best behavior and motivation, to do your best, right? Well, we grade lots of students every year, right? We see students achieve new belts, new heights. That's really awesome to see. The coolest thing for me is when brand new people first get the taste of this self-respect. So I get to award people their white belts quite often, and it is very cool to see their transformation in just a few classes with me in order to earn your white belt. And once those beginners earn their first belt, all of a sudden you see them stand taller, their shoulders back, their chest is proud. And that's the moment that I want all students to hold on to, because in that moment you got it. You understood the importance of the martial arts, but also your own self-respect. And that's the moment where I wish I could just ingrain that into their memory. And sometimes
we do over time.
Yes,
we do over time.
But it's like, man, that moment is such a cool moment to see kids or adults or whoever achieve their first belt, and the pride that they have, the self-respect that they all of a sudden earned is so cool.
That's right. So it's, like, listen, there's some people will say like they didn't know, but you do know there's a right way to tie it and a wrong way, right? So like you do know, and it's just, are you taking the care to learn how to do it? Are you practicing how to do it the same way you practiced tying your shoes, or the same way you practice the patterns that you learn, these kicks that you learn? Well, you should practice that too the same way. And so it is, there's a level of, like I said, when you're brand new, there's a level of you're trying to figure it out. You are practicing it. So like when I'm coming down here on this stuff here, just know I'm not coming down on you at a beginner, or in our school here, a level 1 in that yellow belt area. I'm not really coming down on you guys too hard. So just, don't worry. I'm not picking on you. I'm not, upset when I see a white belt come in and they've got their belt tied in correctly. Like I said, there's a lot of leniency there as they learn and progress and everything. So just be careful.
Because the expectations are relevant to where you are in your journey. Yes.
And age too. I also understand that a 5-year-old, like I guarantee when I was 5, I wasn't able to tie my belt correctly.
And a 4 or 5-year-old, they don't have kind of the manual
they don't.
dexterity yet to do that.
It's okay. Like I'm not, but parents, I might come down on you on this one here. Learn how to tie the belt. Oh, I just don't want to. Well, like
that's the example.
That's the example that you're going to set. So even if you're a parent, you're not training, but you have to tie your kid's belt, learn how to tie it correctly. And I mean that because that's the impression that you are going to make sure that your kid gives off to everybody else. That's the example that you're going to set is, this is how you do things. You do them to the best of your ability. You make sure that you are presentable. You make sure that you're looking sharp. You tie your belt correctly. You make sure your clothes are clean. You do those things because you want to have that self-respect. So you want to have the respect of your peers and your instructors or coaches. When people are brand new, there's obviously, like I said,
there's a learning curve.
But what we do want, when I'm giving you my pet peeve on the whole thing, there's that. But these are the reasons why we believe you should want to tie your belt correctly. Forget that it's a pet peeve of mine. Okay? Forget that. These reasons right here, having some self-respect for yourself, your impression that you give off to everybody, like, respect for the art, those are, the reasons why. Not just because
it grinds your gears.
Grinds my gears. But just, what? Understand those things. And when you don't know, here's the thing. When you don't know, just ask.
Yeah.
Like that's what your instructors, or, if you train at a school and you have, a few different instructors, some teaching this class, that's what their job is to do, is they're there to help you.
Yeah, and
we want to, if anything, we love.
I really feel like I am a belt tying expert.
Absolutely.
So if you need some help, I am your girl.
And that's the thing, like, believe it or not, like instructors, we teach because we love to give. Like I would say that most instructors, not all, like I would say most, the underlying reason why they like or love to teach is because they love to give back. They love to take the experience and knowledge that they have and give it to someone else so that way they can learn and grow. So there's a difference between can you tie my belt and can you help me tie my belt? Like, can you help me learn how to tie my belt? Can you teach me how to tie my belt? When I get a student like that comes in and goes like, can you teach me how to tie my belt? That's a big difference, right? Of like, absolutely. Let's teach you how to tie that belt. Let's get that on, right? Because now there's like the impression is there that they want to.
Yeah, and I mean, I tie a lot of belts. Yeah. But there is a difference. There's ones that like come in with it around their neck and they have no motivation to learn it themselves. Or there's the ones that come in and they are ready with it and they ask, can you show me again? And it might be the 200th time that I've had to show them how to tie their belt, but I don't care because they're putting in the effort to learn it. That's all that matters. And eventually they will get there, right? Yeah. With these young martial artists, it is a difficult thing to learn how to tie your belt correctly.
Absolutely.
But the ones that are motivated and you want to do it and have the effort, perfect.
Yeah. And that's just it. So like I said, you know, like there's all the stuff that like all of that aside, you know, these reasons here, you know, like learn how to tie it for those, right? Like I said, just, you know, for that, the big one, that self-respect. Just, you know what?
This
Put it on.
Yeah, this is the person that I want to share with the world.
And regardless of what rank you've earned, like, you know, don't underestimate, like when I say, you know, beginners we give you, be proud that you started. Like some people will be like, I'm just a white belt. No. You started. You did what most people weren't even willing to do.
Yes, I would say
sit on the couch and wait.
The white belt is honestly probably the most significant belt that you're going to earn because it shows that you had the courage and the drive and the motivation and were willing to take the risk where lots of people were not willing to do that same thing. Mm-hmm. And so right away, when you earn your white belt, you should wear that thing with pride because the majority of people not doing martial arts. So congratulations to you and wear it with pride.
Definitely. And that's just it. So don't ever undervalue or devalue yourself just by I just only had or only have this. The important thing is you started and you're continuing. Like that's the whole thing, right? You've started and you're continuing. There's a ton of people that haven't. We hope you guys found some value in that. Now, depending on what kind of, you know, style and discipline you do, you know, you might have a different way of tying your belt. But the important thing is that you learn how to tie your belt. Ask your instructors, like find the answers. Go ask people because that's what they want to do. They want to be able to. And you know what? If you're hearing this and you're listening to this, don't just go, can you tie my belt? But can you teach me how to tie my belt? Because taking that effort to learn how to tie that belt, and you might have to do it dozens of times. Dozens. Just like you said, you've tied the same people's belts probably tons, right? So it's okay if you have to go and ask again. Ask again. But again, ask with the intent of like wanting to learn. Mm-hmm. Okay? All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that one there on why it is important to tie your belt correctly. We hope you guys found some value in that. If you did, please share it with somebody that you might know might enjoy that episode. Leave a comment, leave a review. We would greatly appreciate that. And again, until next time, my name is Josh Dumoulin. This is
Nicole Stratichuk.
And you've been listening to Off the Mat.